went back reading the comments and saw it get taken down in real time. I'm glad the video was taken down because, frankly, it was a really bad look and embarrassing. If Brad somehow sees this, please get off the internet permanently. Leave the channel behind. You're not capable of being a public personality, and you will continue to humiliate yourself. People's goodwill and patience for you has run out. No one believes you're the victim, and if Tina decides to share her side of the story, I don't know how much sympathy will be left for you. I still hope you somehow find the help you need, but for the love of God, get off YouTube and all social media. And this is again in Brad's subreddit. You can see that they're very done with him. They have no patience left for this guy. I will be releasing something with the help of my therapist and probably after having it approved by a lawyer. But I'm also working on getting the police report too. I have evidence of abuse dating back to 2019, long before he was signing my paychecks. A few days later, however, I received a phone call from Brad from in front of the police station. He was screaming and crying and told me he was just arrested for domestic abuse. He told me he just screamed at her, but I was skeptical and figured there had to be missing details. I stayed on the phone with him until he was at a hotel and safe. He told me things that his fiancée had done, but without much detail. He mentioned that she turned the Hivemind crew against him and bragged into his face that nobody likes you anymore. And Brad was very, very fond of these people. That's who he was talking about when he said, losing my relationship of 5 years with Tina, that's one thing. But losing Hivemind, there's nothing worse than that. In typical manic Brad taste in music fashion, Brad has privated his most recent public meltdown. In this video, he revealed that he was arrested for domestic violence, not charged, not convicted. All right, I think in one of the comments from his editor, former editor, they conflate those things. So just to be clear, as far as we know, he was not convicted with anything. He's just arrested for it. And it could be a thing where there's like, let's just separate these two people for tonight. Maybe it is worse. All right, I'm not entirely opposed to that. But as far as what we've seen, he was not convicted of this. It was just the arrest. Let's get these two separated. But it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter that the video's been taken down. It's too late, Brad. There's an upload here that has, well, I think it has like 20,000. Yeah, 21,000 views. That's a re-upload of it. Other people in the comments on the subreddit have said, I have a copy of it. I personally have a copy. As soon as I heard the video was uploaded, I was at work. I went over to my personal computer and downloaded a copy of it because it was very much expected that Brad would do this thing. So, yeah, it's good that he privated the video. That's what should happen. What should have happened is he never uploaded it, but it's far too late at this point in time. And that's not just theorizing. Oh, I don't know about this, Brad. Might not be really bad for you that you uploaded this. Tina, his ex-girlfriend, ex-fiance, actually, has said as much. She tweets out, "Might be time to deplatform my abuser. Give me some time." Honestly, he's doing a pretty good job of deplatforming himself. Crying emoji, which is very accurate. He had a little bit of his audience that was sticking around and still had some sympathy for him. But you look at the comments on his subreddit, they're done with him. They are so done with this guy at this point. And I'm surprised that as many people as there were had patience for this guy and were willing to forget about it or ignore, forgive him for his public meltdowns that he's already had and say, you know what, I'm gonna give this guy a chance. I'm gonna keep watching him. And if you were one of those people who was very forgiving and had a lot of patience, well, he completely betrayed you and showed how worthless it was for you to have that because a year after the drama, he's learned nothing and clearly not improved himself at all. She goes on to say, I'm sifting through the many notes, audio recordings, and screenshots I have dating back to 2019. I'm not sure how much I want to share, if any. Please understand, I spent 5 years with this person and he was paying me to work with/for him for less than 2 years of that. And obviously, Brad has said the reason that he was arrested is that Tina had video of him screaming at her through, I think it was the bathroom door, I believe while she was on a phone call with her mom or something like that. And that was what actually got him arrested. Tina was trying to say, well, I don't know if he needs to be arrested, but then the cops saw that video and were like, no, 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 no. We're arresting this guy. I do not want him to hurt himself, and I do not want him to get into legal trouble. I have been silent the past year because I wanted to see him get better, and I desperately wanted to move forward with my life after spending half of my 20s being abused. And this is what was so crazy to me about him uploading that video is if Tina was going to say something, I would have expected her to say something a long time ago. The fact that she's been quiet about it for so long, to me, made it pretty clear she just wants to move on with her life. There's no reason to dredge this up again, but that's not going to stop Brad. It's clear he still wants to punish me for the consequences of his own actions. This is not a new thing for me, as he did that the entire length of our relationship. After almost 6 years of trying my hardest to protect him despite the abuse, I just don't have it in me anymore. I am not a public person, never have been. I am trying to handle things in the best way that I can. Right now, I just need time to figure out the best way to move forward. I don't have anything compiled or prepared because revisiting it is incredibly triggering. Thanks to anyone who has reached out with words of support, I have no doubts about what I went through, as I have undeniable evidence of it and have discussed it extensively in therapy and with close friends. I don't really need strangers to believe me. I am in a much better spot in life right now, surrounded by wonderful people who do not mistreat me. At this point, I am more interested in spreading awareness and validating the experiences of people who have gone through similar things without the support that I'm so lucky to have. If anyone reading this can relate to anything that's been discussed or shared so far, please know you are not alone. There is a way out, even if it feels impossible right now. Reach out to a friend or call the DV hotline 800-799-7233 and get yourself safe. So I think that's all we have. I'll just double check again. I did double check fairly recently, but I think that's all she said so far about this. Anything else here? No, I'm sifting through the many notes. That's the most recent thing. But we also have some more messages, words from Tina. She was in the Op Block's live stream fairly recently, and the Op Block, I believe, tweeted something about this quite a while ago. And I think I heard Chud Logic talking about this, and he thought that this was going to make it blow up again, but it ended up not. I guess the right people didn't see it, not enough people saw it. And the reason that he found out about it was because Rose Malay shared an unlisted video that she had made about this. And so he felt weird about making this public because even though the tweet from Oplock was public, he found out about it from Rose Malay's video that was unlisted and that she asked Chud not to go public with. But now too late for that, and we have these messages from Tina when she was watching an Oplock live stream. I never sent the audio recording to his friends. I sent it to his mom, my mom, and one friend in Detroit. Nobody at Hivemind. And in the now privated video, pretty sure Brad said that she did send it to Hivemind, which I thought was kind of weird. I was like, I don't know why it would need to go to Hivemind unless they were a lot closer friends than it seemed like they were. And so here, Tina is saying she didn't. Obviously, we don't know either way for sure, but I do think Tina's more reliable than Brad from what we've seen. So for now, at the very least, I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt on that and believe that it didn't get sent to Hivemind. And even if she did send it to Hivemind, it's not this terrible thing where now she's not credible or anything like that. I thought it was a little bit odd. But even if it was true, it wouldn't be the biggest deal. And seems like that might not be the case. Probably isn't. I will be releasing something with the help of my therapist and probably after having it approved by a lawyer. But I'm also working on getting the police report too. I have evidence of abuse dating back to 2019, long before he was signing my paychecks. For the last year and a half of our relationship, yeah, I was essentially his manager, PR, bookkeeper, caretaker, etc. I will explain more in time for sure. So another thing Brad did in the now privated video is he very much downplayed what Tina did for him. He said he was paying her $5,000 a month to do basically nothing. Tina here is saying, well, I was doing a lot more than nothing. Again, we don't know for sure, but Tina being the more credible one, I lean towards she was doing more than essentially nothing for that $5,000 a month, other than, as Brad said, laying on the couch and smoking grass. I've been biting my tongue for so long. I just wanted to see him be rehabilitated. And obviously, we've seen that's not happening. The doctor I was working for at the time as a medical assistant moved out of state, and my chronic pain was getting much worse. He essentially begged me to quit my job, meaning Brad begged her to quit her job. Lots of evidence, lots and lots. have truly been rooting for him since he was going to intensive outpatient therapy. And that's a crazy, but he just spit in the face of anybody that was rooting for him and thought, no, Brad can get better. He just needs to go to therapy and work on himself. Clearly, a year of doing that, however much therapy he was in, did nothing for him. And also, in that video, he more or less admitted that he had relapsed on weed. That was the thing that kept him going, was that he could hang out with his friend, I think Kendall was their name. He would hang out with Kendall in the car, smoke weed, and show them music. And that's what kept him going. So he would just drive around for hours and hours a day, aimlessly listening to music that he thought would hit while they were smoking that ganja in the car. Have truly been rooting for him since he was going to intensive outpatient therapy until yesterday. Now I'm getting people in my DMs telling me to KMS. I wanted it to be private. When I release a statement, it will be released independently of any channel or specific outlet. I'm really not interested in protecting him anymore, just my own peace at this point. So really, really does not sound good for Brad, and he doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve Tina to be very good to him, right? She would basically be saying, well, let me just be slandered and talked crap about on a channel with 300 something thousand subs and just take it, right? Very, very understandable and reasonable that she would want to make a public statement about this. And sounds like it's going to be pretty legit if she's having it gone over by a lawyer before she goes public with it. Any comments in here worth reading? Honestly, sounds like Tina has been very respectful to not come out with this and let Brad continue his career and get better. If what Tina is saying is true, it really makes me wonder what level of delusion Brad is at to have released that video. Before, he was just seen as a guy who had a mental health crisis that stopped his career, with nobody having anything overly terrible to say about him as a person. I wouldn't say nobody. I had lots of terrible things to say about him, but most people, sure, especially within his audience. Now he could be the face of a YouTube abuse scandal. Two ways this can go. Either Tina's holding on to some information that's really bad and Brad becomes an internet pariah, or she isn't really holding on to anything that bad and this sub becomes overrun with the worst people you've ever met, defending Brad and feeding his delusions further. Either way, he's guaranteed to spiral again. Dark days ahead. Yeah. I mean, you can really see that this is in this is in Brad's subreddit there. They just have no patience for him anymore. And in the YouTube drama subreddit, they have some messages, some tweets from Paruko, which was, is, I mean, seems like Brad's probably done with done with YouTube at this point. That's the way he made it sound in his video. But at the very least, at one time, this was Brad's editor. And I showed this in the last update video I did about Brad, but I'll play it again just so you can get an understanding of the drama between Paruko and Brad, because he talks about it here and he lays it out very clearly, succinctly. You'll have a great understanding of the drama after you watch this video.
Hi guys, this is Bradley here. I needed to make this message. I am going through a lot emotionally right now, but I need you to understand that I am being accused of a lot right now. And I'm going through a lot, and this is very serious. And this person who is supposed to be my friend has publicly accused me of theft on a platform, and I believe they are trying to hurt me. And I am not okay. And they are...
It's just such a wild understatement. I am not okay. Could you say something more obvious, Brad? No kidding.
And they are... I've been spending literally any moment I could all day trying to figure out this financial thing with them. Literally, like, from the moment that I knew it was serious, I was getting calls, my fiance was getting calls, and we were answering them and, like, picking up, and, like, I was like, okay, something is serious, like, something is wrong. Okay, this charge, deal with this. Okay, 151, got it. Oh, I gotta deal with other stuff, I'm busy. Paruko, I need you to be patient with me, please. I'm busy all day. I come back, and it's like, I literally am, like, struggling, and Paruko's like, fuck you, like, look at the PayPal statements, you fucking lie. I'm confused, and then I see this shit on Twitter, and I look at the picture, oh, it says refunded under the bottom one, so I didn't even get to that one yet. And instead, now, 500,000 people have seen something that is a complete fucking lie. I'm sorry.
From a friend!
From a friend! From a fucking...
Friend! So good. So obviously, perfect summary. You don't need anything else more. Brad laid it out perfectly there. And if you're still confused about what happened, I don't know what I can tell you to help you figure it out. But just in case somehow you didn't understand it, Brad was meant to pay Paruko for editing work or something like that, and a payment or maybe two payments didn't go through. I honestly believe it was a mistake, some combination of Brad being somewhat disorganized and like having a bad payment method set up to his PayPal or Venmo, whatever it was. And so a payment or two didn't go through. I don't think Brad had any intention of not paying Paruko, and it wouldn't have really made any sense for him to try and stiff Paruko at that time because he was going through a bunch of other dramas anyway. Like he would have had to have been an idiot to try and short Paruko at that time. But anyway, here's what Paruko has to say, and these are pretty recent here. This is not at the time, this is the last couple days. A bit after the incident between me and Brad, I had tried to reach out to him to clear up the air between us involving the money situation. He was dismissive to me, so I gave up. A few days after, I received a DM from a third party telling me that Brad wanted to talk, so I did. In there, he apologized to me, saying that what I did was what I had to do. I mentioned that I shouldn't have went publicly as quickly as I did, and things worked fine. I told him I wasn't interested in pursuing a proper friendship again, and we went on from there. A few days later, however, I received a phone call from Brad from in front of the police station. He was screaming and crying and told me he was just arrested for domestic abuse. He told me he just screamed at her, but I was skeptical and figured there had to be missing details. I stayed on the phone with him until he was at a hotel and safe. He told me things that his fiancée had done, but without much detail. He mentioned that she turned the Hivemind crew against him and bragged into his face that nobody likes you anymore. Hivemind, in case you're not aware, they're another music channel. I think they're coming up on like 500,000 subs, and it's hosted by Graydon and Riley. And Brad, very, very fond of these people. That's who he was talking about when he said, losing my relationship of 5 years with Tina, that's one thing, but losing Hivemind, there's nothing worse than that. He pleaded with me to not talk to his fiancée, which I didn't, in part because I didn't really have a proper way of reaching out to her, but heard from a third party who did talk to her that all she did was film her yelling, I think film him yelling, and send it to Hivemind. After that, the situation went quiet, but the whole thing continued to bother me. So many details didn't add up to me. Eventually, I realized that Brad wasn't someone I wanted to keep connections with, considering the incident between us and what I had just learned. I later cut off contact with him and tried to put this whole thing behind me. However, one thing continued to bother me, and that was the online association I currently had with someone who I learned was convicted of DV. And yeah, that's where they say convicted of DV. Uh, I don't think anybody's seen anything that shows he was convicted of it. He was arrested for it at the time, and like I said, it could just be a situation where the police wanted to separate Tina and Brad so nothing happened. Obviously, it could be worse than that, but it could be as little as that too. I wanted that connection gone, so I tried to email Brad professionally asking for the removal of any videos featuring me. However, I didn't receive a response from him directly. Hello, Brad. I am writing as I want to request that you remove or unlist any video that prominently features me throughout its runtime. Due to the circumstances in August, I no longer feel comfortable appearing in these videos, and I feel they no longer represent my current presence on the internet. The videos are as follows, and then they list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 videos that they were in. Thank you, Paruko. And then okay. Instead, he tells someone else that I should have apologized for slandering him and he owes me no favors and that he wasn't going to take the videos down. I saw the response and realized there was no use fighting it and left it to be. Hi. I'm assuming they're using Peruko's real name here. This is a Discord message from Brad. Hi, happy to hear from you. I have no idea where I was emailed by Paruko. Okay, I must be talking to somebody else in his Discord. And they asked about Pruko's emails or something. I have no idea where I was emailed by Pruko, but she unfollowed me on everything and just cut contact. I don't know when. I'm still pretty upset that she never apologized publicly for slandering me or anything. Like she made a giant mess of my reputation, and the last thing I'm in the mood to do is a favor for her. She agreed to be part of the videos knowing fully what that involves, and I'd honestly rather keep up the content so I can give people vids to watch. I don't owe her any favors. Which it honestly is kind of fair enough. I don't think he's required to take down the videos that Paruko was in. I can understand why Paruko would want them down, and I can see an argument where no, you should have to take them down, but I don't think he owes that to Paruko. He is also coping about the allegations here of theft. Like, bro, you could have not uploaded a manic video of yourself responding to this stuff, just paid Paruko what you owed them, and then screenshotted those, replied to Paruko's tweet and said, misunderstanding, I'm a disorganized freak, but I've paid Paruko. It was an honest mistake, even if that's not true. You could have said that, and there wouldn't really be much people could say at that time other than, oh, maybe Brad tried to short Paruko. Now, fast forward today, and I discover that Brad has publicly come out about the DV charge in what is a weirdly manipulative video involving the situation. I don't know the full details about what happened between Brad and his fiance, but I have one thing I need to say. Brad, you need to get off the internet and YouTube. Your relationship with this channel is no longer healthy, and I am pleading with you to get rid of it before either you or someone else gets hurt again. I don't think Brad's relationship with his YouTube channel was ever healthy. In his video, he said that he basically iced Tina out of their relationship because he was so obsessed with it. And I think that's because he was getting validation from it. And the only reason it wasn't so obvious that he couldn't handle it is because things were going pretty well for him. He didn't have any major scandals or drama that made it so obvious he couldn't handle this stuff. But if any dramas had popped up before that, it would have been pretty obvious that he couldn't handle this stuff from whenever the time the dramas happened. This whole situation has left me genuinely confused and brain effed, and sitting on the nuclear bomb of information that was Brad's DV charge didn't help. Again, I don't think he was even charged with DV, he was just arrested for it. I really do not like Brad anymore, and I feel like he desperately needs to leave the internet forever. He's being exposed every single time as a worse and worse person. He's not a good person. The internet has clearly made him worse, and with how much power he gained in his niche. Everything coming out has me rethinking what happened around a year ago with ARTV and his receipts against Brad. Definitely were delivered poorly and then crashed out in the sub pretty hard, but he may have had more of a point than we realized at the time. And they're just referencing the video. I'm not sure, what is ARTV? I don't remember that. Okay, this is like some sort of panel. Wait, our Lincoln Park. Okay, I'm not sure what the ARTV thing is, but that must be some other drama where he made a fool of himself. And see, what did people say under this screenshot of the video being privated? The OP says, went back reading the comments and saw it get taken down in real time. I'm glad the video was taken down because frankly, it was a really bad look and embarrassing. If Brad somehow sees this, please get off the internet permanently. Leave the channel behind. You're not capable of being a public personality, and you will continue to humiliate yourself. People's goodwill and patience for you has run out. No one believes you're the victim, and if Tina decides to share her side of the story, I don't know how much sympathy will be left for you. I still hope you somehow find the help you need, but for the love of God, get off YouTube and all social media. And this is again in Brad's subreddit. You can see that they're very done with him. They have no patience left for this guy. Brad has constantly uploaded emotional things and removed them during his manic phases, so I'm not shocked that's happened again. At the same time, maybe he's realized this video could easily get him into a lot of trouble. He defamed Tina pretty bad, and she is well within her rights to F him up legally if she chooses to, so it's probably not a good idea to keep the video up for that reason alone. Which, yeah, is true. Thing is, it doesn't really matter at this point. It's too late. All right, the video. I think I showed this at the beginning, right? But 21,000 views on this re-upload of it. Pretty sure I showed that, but just in case. And I'll link that in the description in case you haven't seen the video and you want to see it. Or you can watch my previous video about Brad with my brilliant commentary. I will note that I had noticed that when the video was released, most of the comments were supportive or nicely telling Brad that maybe he shouldn't come back if it was affecting him that badly. But returning to the video a couple days later, the comments had turned to making fun of him or sternly telling him that this was a horrible look and he needed to leave YouTube permanently. Right before the video was taken down, I saw a comment that was calling out Brad for having a parasocial relationship with his comment section and that he should take this video down. So I don't know if that contributed to him taking the video down. And that lines up with what I saw. when the video was first up, there were quite a few positive comments that were like, not only saying, "Oh, it's okay that you uploaded, it's understandable." They had like sympathy for Brad. I was very confused how, but this guy here explains it. I'm pretty sure. I was one of the many positive comments at first, and then I came to this subreddit and realized I misread so much in that video. I deleted my comment a day later. So that's how he had some positive comments. He just had idiots who needed to have their opinions corrected. Like, oh, I was sympathetic, and then I saw people just saying the most basic reaction that you would have to that video, and I realized, oh, I'm really dumb for having sympathy for this guy. And then this Rufus King comment is so obnoxious. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but hi, I think the comment about the parasocial comment and to take down the video was mine. Yep, it was you, bro. It was you, Rufus King, who convinced Brad to take down his video. Like, no, there was lots of people saying that, okay? And if you wanted to say I left a comment about that sort of stuff, but to say the comment about that was mine is just so obnoxious. Um, Rarely comment on Reddit, but the video was ridiculous. Probably because the comments stopped coddling him. So that again is another person kind of saying at first they were coddling him and then they stopped. I sincerely hope Brad leaves social media, if not for good, maybe for a long time. Yeah. People are just very, very done with him. And then this is kind of unrelated, and the moderators took the post down, but I remember vaguely what it was about. They're saying Tina isn't a saint either. She has been cheating on him since 2022. And they were talking about how supposedly Tina and a friend of hers were stalking 21 Pilots and doing weird stuff. But as they didn't offer any proof, they just said that this was a widely publicly known thing. And they talked about it in their private Twitter accounts or something like that. As Scarlet Monday here says, though, receipts or it's BS. I don't even go here, but please don't drag stupid niche 21 Pilots fan drama into this. Lamau, what is this? If this has been public knowledge, how did Brad not have any idea? Do you have any evidence for that? The only infidelity accusations I know of with ARTV claiming Brad cheated on Tina. Oh, okay. So that's a little bit of what the ARTV thing was, I guess. Claims that Brad cheated on Tina. And then I should have pulled this up before, but I think Anthony Fantano, his subreddit. Can I find it this way? I don't really use Reddit all that much. I just want his subreddit, Fantano Forever. Is that it? They were talking about it in his subreddit, so it's hit a wider audience 21 hours ago. Here we go. Let's see what these people had to say. Brad Taste the Music situation is weird as hell. For context, I think this is the privated video probably. Let's see. Oh, this must be the re-upload. Yeah, that's the re-upload from The Color Purple. Tina, his ex-partner, side of the story, and then those are the tweets we read. Brother, how this new response is worse than the older one. This guy has been in this weird downfall spiral and stayed there for a year. I think, geez, it's one thing to lose your partner. It's another thing to lose Hivemind. It's one of the worst things I've heard someone say in a long time. Yeah, that's probably a more faithful quote of what Brad actually said. I hyperbolized it a little bit when I paraphrased it, but I think that's pretty close to exactly what he said. Brad strikes me as someone who absolutely should not be an internet personality, but succeeded, to a degree, at it and will now be consumed by chasing that previous success. Just, he either unplugs or this won't end well. Write reviews for a local newspaper, man, or start a blog. But streaming just seems like it's doomed for the guy. Edit. Not that the DV is tied to his internet presence, but it probably doesn't help things either. He strikes you, you must be his partner. But you see here, this one has 443 upvotes. I think that's more than any comment I saw in Brad's. Yeah, this one's got 547. So it's getting a lot more traction, and especially this is within the like music YouTube section more so than limited to just Brad's fans. It's one thing to lose your partner, it's another thing to lose Hivemind. This is a line for the ages. I'm going to quote this for a decade. Mark my words. It's my favorite line to come out of a YouTube person's mouth all year. Might be on the Mount Rushmore for the whole platform. So cartoonishly absurd. I can't believe this. Super weird. He tried to just gloss over being arrested for DV is my biggest issue. Dude needs serious therapy. People keep saying this, and fair enough if you haven't followed that much. It's clear therapy is not enough for this guy. He went to rehab, inpatient rehab, pretty sure. Like, that's not enough. He needs to actively work on himself and make progress as a person. Just taking time in therapy, he's made it very, very obvious. That's not enough for him. He has to put in actual work. Dude needs serious therapy, not trying to just air crap out on the internet. He's a wild card. His vibe has gotten increasingly weirder over the years and seems like a danger to himself and others. The fact he seems more upset about losing his connection with Hivemind than losing his partner in what you quoted is actually insane. This is coming from a Hivemind fan, too. Seems like all he was thinking about was his own brand and popularity when he said that. Just wild. And the crazy thing is, in that video, he describes his relationship with Hivemind as a YouTube channel he's collaborated with a couple times. He doesn't say that they've hung out outside of YouTube a lot or they were really, really close friends or anything like that. His own description of the relationship is that he'd collabed with him a couple times, yet somehow that's worse than losing his 5-year relationship. Okay, these, well, 200. Crazy how he ruined his life the same day ᵃᵇᵘᵳᵉ dropped. Ruined my life. Oh, and I haven't seen much of this, but apparently he's been ruminating about losing his relationship with ᵃᵇᵘᵳ as well. And if you're watching this, you probably know, but ᵃᵇᵘᵳ started out as like a YouTube rapper guy, but then he's made, I don't even know what genre it is. It's more singy type music. I don't know exactly what genre you'd call it, but it's kind of like critically acclaimed. At least maybe acclaimed is too strong, but been very positively received, and he's been taken more seriously as than a YouTube musician usually has. Lol, he's in this again. Oh, okay. And then what did they have to say in this other post? Brad Tasty Music admits to being arrested for domestic violence in new video. Is this the one that's been taken down? Yeah, this video is private. Dude has been on a weird spiral for over a year now. It's sad to see. Look at that, 1.6 thousand upvotes on that one. The complete lack of awareness is the most alarming element of this video. He feels completely justified in his actions because he believes that streaming, his job, was simply more important than how his partner was feeling. He openly admits to screaming at his partner because she was crying, which escalated to her retreating behind a locked door and her recording him continue to scream at her through the door. This ultimately led to his arrest, and there was likely more details yet to be uncovered about what went down that night. What we do know is that he is at his parents' house, unmotivated to work anymore. He talked about that a lot, how he just didn't want to go back to work. He said, I think he said something along the lines of, I didn't want to go back to work, so I thought I shouldn't, or something like that, which is just so absurd. Really, you think 90% of people don't feel like they don't want to go back to work? I'm pretty sure that's how everybody feels. Even if you have an all right job that you don't really mind, you'd rather have your time to yourself and not have to go to work, right? But Brad is obviously very spoiled, very privileged to have the job that he did. And he's like, well, I didn't want to go back to work, so I thought that I shouldn't. Oh, okay, all right. You spoiled rich kid living at mom and dad's house, feeling like a victim because his friends slash collaborators no longer wish to speak with him after his arrest. He pays no rent and feels he is trapped due to mild internet drama of him taking a picture with another YouTuber. So I assumed he wasn't paying rent. I don't know if that's actually confirmed. This person seems to think it is. Again, I assumed that he wasn't paying rent, living with his parents. They probably feel bad for him, destroying his life and job and having a very public, embarrassing meltdown. So makes sense that he wouldn't be paying rent, but I don't know if that's totally confirmed, even though that I lean towards that being true. He is critically ill and unstable. Erratic behavior and a swirl of self-loathing and anger are his daily routine. There is no recovery found from turning on a camera. He is clearly bipolar, as evidenced by his sudden revelation that his dad is a musical genius, and it all makes sense now. I feel great. After describing how his marriage fell apart, his engagement, I think it only got to engagement, fell apart, and he spent the night in jail. Unsubscribe and leave him alone. Call him out for being a POS, fine, but leave him alone. It's not going to help. Just let his channel go. He needs to get away from the internet. They gave him a golden handshake. What is this? Does it say? Okay. I'm assuming that's is that what Reddit Gold is? I'm not sure. Some sort of award. I haven't watched him in 2 to 3 years. What happened in that time period? How do you not hear about this? Genuinely, I guess maybe I know there are people, there's lots of people who don't engage in YouTube drama at all, but that's pretty much all I watch. So it's wild to me that you would end up on a post like this, being like, wait, what happened with Brad Music or Brad Taste in Music? Anyway, we don't need to go through all of these. They're pretty much just agreeing with what Brad's fan base said. This was just to show that it's spread outside of Brad's community. 1.6 thousand upvotes on this one. Can you see 1.4 thousand upvotes on the post? Okay, that's odd. Is that common that a comment gets more upvotes than the post itself? I don't know. I don't use Reddit enough. But yeah, Brad made a fool of himself to his audience, and it's been picked up by the Fantano viewers. Myself and some other people have made videos about it. He has just destroyed the last scrap of credibility that he had, and he really should leave his channel forever. To me, it's not a matter of he needs to take a break and go to therapy, work on it. He just needs to be done. I don't believe that this guy can ever get to a point where he's able to handle this sort of stuff. He's done. And if you do want any more on this, Chud Logic, he watched the video that Rose Malay sent him. It pretty much just goes over the stuff that I've showed you here. And Rose Malay is very obnoxious and annoying, so I don't want to watch it. But I'll share the link to this live stream here, and it'll be time stamped to right when he starts watching the video. So if you want to watch that with Chud's commentary, you can do that. But it's not, in my opinion, it's not worth much if you've seen what I've just showed you, and if you have the correct opinion that Rose Malay is very annoying. There's no point in watching it. She didn't want this video to go public, but she was sharing it around with a bunch of people in the background like months and months ago when she made this video. And then she's on Reddit posts of people talking about this stuff saying, I told you so. Well, no, you didn't, because you were conflicted by your clout shark tendencies and your desire to keep the relationship with Brad, that you didn't actually put this video out. So no, you didn't tell people so. You were too afraid to, because you didn't want to lose the relationship with Brad. So you don't get to say, I told you so. If you'd published the video, then you could say, I told you so, but you didn't do that. So you don't get to come in and say, oh, give me credit, I called it. All right, even if you did know this, you didn't say that publicly. You should have shared the video. Then I would be okay with saying, I told you so, but you didn't do that. Anyway, I hope Tina goes through with what she was saying here, that she's going to assemble all the evidence that she has and make a statement about this, because obviously Brad deserves it at this point in time, and I'm very much here for the drama. All right, I do have some legitimate sympathy or empathy for Tina going through her relationship with Brad and whatever it was exactly that he did to her, but I'm also here for the drama, really. That's why I do all this stuff, is for the drama.